clearly the biggest step up in competition Sean O'Malley has taken thus far in his career. And while Pedro Munhoz is no slouch, I do think that the intangibles, or I guess I should say the measurements, definitely have him at a disadvantage, man. Sean O'Malley, as a 135-pounder, is 5'11", so you have a 5-inch height difference between Pedro Munhoz and Sean O'Malley, but the reach is really where I think Munhoz is going to have problems, man. 72-inch reach for O'Malley, 65-inch reach for Munhoz. So longer, lankier is O'Malley. How does Munhoz close the distance here, man? He has those incredible kicks, but you have to get into at least a range where you could throw the kick and land it. O'Malley could hit you from the other side of the cage. Like, how does he get the distance closed in this one?
Man, he's got to be a pit bull in there. He's got to not worry about what's coming his way and just get on the inside. Because once he does and he nullifies that range that Sean O'Malley has, nullifies the footwork a little bit, hit that peroneal nerve. I know Sean hates when everybody talks about the leg kicks. But if Pedro can get in there and he can start doing some damage on those legs, get the movement of Sean a little bit slower, that's going to be the way for Pedro to get this done. If he can get on the inside, land some stuff, maybe start a wrestling exchange. I don't think it's the best route for Pedro, but if he can and he can get the movement stifled of Sean O'Malley, then he's going to have a little bit better. But Pedro Munhoz, man, he's methodical in there. He's slow. He's not the guy who's going to be, dancing around like Michel Pereira. He's not going to be the crazy footwork that we're seeing in there. This is going to walk in. He's going to want to bang, but against Sean O'Malley, that's not the right move. It's going to be a very uphill battle for him. But if he can get on the inside, I see a little bit more greener pastures there. What do you think, Derek? How does Pedro Munhoz get this done if he can?
He's got to beat up the legs of Sean O'Malley and not get hit in return, bro. You have to immobilize Sean O'Malley and then get in on the inside and do your work. He can throw a head kick in the pocket, bro. Munhoz has crazy kicks. Like, his dexterity is incredible. The problem that I see here is that Sean O'Malley constantly switching stances. So even if he beat up one leg, well, guess what? He switched to the other one and he has the other, right? He's constantly moving. So, like, he'll enter in southpaw, and by the time he hits you, he's orthodox, right? The good old Customato shift, you know what I'm saying? But here's the real issue that I have here, my man. I think that Sean O'Malley being a sniper, being so methodical, he's not going to give Munhoz a bunch of those war-type scraps that he's been in recently to give him the opportunities. I think he's going to stick out a distance and only come in methodically and strategically right there. But if Munhoz can press the issue, if he can get into those clinch spots and do some dirty boxing, take away the kicks of Sean O'Malley, take away all the... Because he uses those long, like, push kicks to the stomach, teep kicks and all that stuff. He uses all the different variety. If you can eliminate those and make it a boxing match, I think he might be able to have some success. But then again, is Pedro Munhoz a boxer? He has real deal power in those hands. He has power in those hands, brother. So if he connects with Sean O'Malley, can he do this? This is the real way that I see a victory happening that would be very definitive, that I think a lot of people are underestimating Pedro Munhoz. Drop good old Sean O'Malley. The best takedown in the game is a good old left hook, right? Shout out to the Count, Mike Bisping. And then use that BJJ black belt, man, and then start going to work. Because that is in the realm of possibilities here. Maybe on the feet, he's outmatched. But take it to the ground. Take your opponent, take your big, scary opponent, make him horizontal. All that strength, all that scariness goes away. So what are the odds of something like that? I mean, Pedro Munhoz averages less than a takedown a fight.
Has O'Malley been dropped before? That's the stat I'm trying to look up right now. Has he? Do you know? Do you know off the top of your head?
We'll find out together. We'll actually go on to the UFC stats, and I'll pull it up for everybody to see here. So when I'm looking up Sean O'Malley, and let me just remove this really quickly. All right. So it looks like we'll look at knockdowns. Has Sean O'Malley ever been knocked down? And it looks like the answer is no. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was expecting to see, because he does have the Marlon Vera loss from the ankle, but Sean O'Malley can grapple as well, man. He's gone against Gilbert Melendez, Hector Lombard, Takarani Gomi. Like he can grapple in there, but is his grapple the same as Pedro Munhoz? Probably not. So do I see a knockdown happening? Probably not. I mean, anything can happen, but I don't see it going that way. I mean, would you rather have power or would you rather have precision? I mean, the old saying goes, speed beats power, what's the saying? Speed beats power, power beats precision beats whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
It's precision beats power and timing beats speed.
There we go. Thank you, Derek. I'm over here messing up. But I'd rather have the precision, the speed, the sniper of Sean O'Malley, because as much as he can get the Pedro Munhoz can get the knockout with that one big shot or get the drop, drop him down one time. I see Sean O'Malley just putting a 3-piece combo to you, and next thing you know, you're looking up like, what in the fuck just happened? So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's big shoes for Sean O'Malley to come into and step, because I agree with you that this is a big jump in competition. But would you say this is a big step in his career, like overall? Because Sean O'Malley is one of the few fighters that is in firm control of his career. I think it's a little risky for him. He loses this fight to Pedro Munhoz. He takes a really big step back, but I don't see this one making him, if you know what I mean. What do you think?
I think it depends on how much you respect Pedro Munhoz, because I respect him a lot. Yeah, he's 1-4 in his last 5, right? And that's, I mean, optically, you look at the number and you're like, that's pretty damn bad. But if you look at 5 of the last 6 opponents he's had have all been current or former champions. We're talking about Dom Cruz, Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Aljamain Sterling. We're talking about those types of cats. Cody Garbrandt, right? We're talking about those guys. So that's the part right there, man. It's like, okay, well, if you're fighting the top-notch opposition, well, what is a Sean O'Malley to you? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful in that sense. I do think that this will be the biggest win that will make Sean O'Malley, because if he loses, all we're going to be saying is, oh, Sean O'Malley, so you're not the guy, right? We thought you were the guy, but you're not the guy. 1-4, Pedro Munhoz, they're going to look at that and they're going to be like, oh, you couldn't beat that guy, even though people who don't respect Pedro Munhoz aren't fans of the UFC. They're not fans of MMA, because this is one of the best dudes to do it out there. But ultimately, man, the test is going to become, because Pedro Munhoz is so well-rounded, he could take the fight anywhere. If Sean O'Malley, if he can get a dominant, definitive win, if he can get a knockout against Pedro Munhoz, brother, that's going to be speaking volumes. Because guess what? Pedro Munhoz has never been finished, ever. I listed off all of those names, and Pedro Munhoz has never been finished. So for people to come in, oh, O'Malley's just going to knock him out, I'm just like, it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. And as much as I would like it to be, because I feel weird going all decisions here, you know what I mean? I can very well see Munhoz getting this fight to the ground, man, and submitting Sean O'Malley. I can see it. Or a TKO victory. I can see it. Is it likely? Maybe. Maybe we look back after the end of this fight and Pedro Munhoz did something outstanding nobody would have saw coming. But AJ, I do believe in the here and now and not the pride of 2010, of 2014, 2015. And Sean O'Malley clearly is a train rolling downhill right now, man. He's a force to be reckoned with. 15-1. He's coming off of 1, 2, 3 nasty knockout wins. I just don't see the knockout coming here, but I do see the win, brother. So I'm going to rock Sean O'Malley, and I'm going to go with that decision prop of plus 150 for Sean O'Malley. But I'll talk about the other props right here, brother. The over and under is 2.5 rounds. A TKO for Sean O'Malley, plus 160, brother. God damn, they're giving my guy everything. Plus 160 for a TKO. For Pedro Munhoz, plus 600 for a KO, which blows my goddamn mind. Plus 900 for a submission, blows my mind even more. And plus 500 for a decision. So they're giving Pedro Munhoz almost no shot to win, man. Do we capitalize here? Do you throw a little hedge on Munhoz? Or do you just go all in on O'Malley? What do you think?
Man, Derek, remember earlier in the show when I said the odds makers must know there must be something behind that? These dudes obviously don't know shit about Pedro Munhoz. That's kind of crazy, man. They're giving him nothing. You have to hedge your bets on that one. You have to put some money down on Pedro Munhoz, because that's how this dude's one of the greatest to do it in the division. I mean, obviously not the greatest, but if you look back, this dude has a who's who of people, and I was just actually looking at his record. He has a first round submission over Rob Font that goes completely unnoticed, completely unnoticed. No. Can that happen? Yeah. So either way, I'm rocking Sean O'Malley. I'm going decision is with you as well. I can see the finish happening, but I don't expect it. So I'm going Sean O'Malley by decision. But I'm throwing a little cash down on that Pedro Munhoz pick as well, man, because that's crazy.
What would it be? If you were going to pick on Pedro Munhoz, would you go money line plus 235? Would you go plus 600 TKO, plus 900 submission, or plus 500 decision?
Ooh, I'd probably go money line just to kind of hedge bets in both ways. Just be a little safer on that one, because as much as I can see the knockout, I can see the submission a little bit more. That's the kind of crazy thing. So I don't know if I'm between that. What'd you say the submission prop was again?
Plus 900, man. Almost plus 1,000, bro, for a submission. And I'm like, bro, he has 8 submissions on his record. I mean, come on, But
I think you might need to throw some money down on that submission, because that's crazy, man. And he's good. And don't get me wrong, Sean O'Malley's a good grappler as well. But Pedro Munhoz is steps above, in my opinion. So you got to throw some money down right there.
So I know that was long-winded, folks, but I think there was some hypocrisy to be had in the eyes of the odds makers. But clearly, we're rocking with Sean O'Malley. Would I be surprised to see an upset? Absolutely not. And if the upset does happen, we think submission is probably how it's going to happen on behalf of Pedro Munhoz. Either way, that is your main card. That is UFC 276.